What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode on the channel. Now, if you didn't watch my last video, we started putting the rear bumper back on and then we moved over to the engine bay. Now, we did have some missing pieces for the rear bumper, but I've already fitted those. You've already seen how it went back on, so you didn't need to watch it again, but let's go take a look at what we did. So it's all back together, and then as you can see, the number plate bracket is in place. And also, if you look just up in there is our number plate bracket, which I said were missing, and then our little flap at the back to cover it. But we did run into a small problem when trying to fit my plates. If you notice, when the plate sits in there, the hole doesn't quite line up with the hole on the plate, and so we might have to do some modifications to it. Hopefully nothing too drastic, because I don't really want to cut up the factory bracket, because I do like the little hooks at the bottom, because then the number plate locks into place and it won't go anywhere. Because especially with the wind and the air coming up this diffuser section here, it'll put a bit of stress on the bottom of there, and it's good to have those hooks on there. But we'll try and figure out something, and in the meantime, let's go and have a look what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be attacking this wiring loom now. I did actually do it a while ago with this expandable sleeving. It does look okay, but I'm not 100% happy with it, especially with how the rest of the car is going to be looking, and everything else is looking so good, so I want the loom to match. Now, we're only going to be doing from this section all the way down, so not all of it, but it's the main part of the loom. So let's go and have a look at what we got for that. So this is what we're going to be using today. Thank you to Proloom Motorsport. They aren't sponsoring this video, but I just thought I'd give these guys a shout out just because they were really good to work with, and they answered a lot of my questions that I had for them. We're going to be using some Raychem heat shrink. We got a few different sizes here. Also got some joiners for the wiring. Now, there is a few things I've got to fix in the engine bay first before we go and put the heat shrink on. Then we got our name tags for the plugs, and also some clear heat shrink in there, so then we can shrink those on. Also, some new injector plugs. The Evo ones always miss those clips and you can't get those separate, so I just bought a whole new plug so we can redo it again. Followed by my gearbox speed sensor loom. Because I went from a 6-speed to a 5-speed, I just have to change the speedo loom. It's just 2 wires, and then we can change that out. In that case, let's go and start stripping this down, and then we can go ahead and start making it look nice and pretty.
So here we are cutting out the old airflow connector. Now, someone put a MAFless setup on this car with a speed density sensor, and they left the old plug in, which I do not like. So we're cutting it out and just putting some joiners in.
All finished. All the joiners are now on. So what's next is we go ahead and take pictures of every single plug on this loom, and then we can go and depin all the pins and start from there. Let's go get photos of everything, write everything down, and then start stripping the loom.
Now I'm depinning the connector with a pick tool. Each connector has little tabs inside that stop the wiring pin from coming out. Once those tabs are lifted, the pin can easily be removed.
Look at how good that actually came out. I am very surprised with that, actually. Look how flexible it is still. Be interesting to see if it still has the same sort of flexibility once it cools down. Very promising so far, so let's keep on doing the rest of the loom.
Here I am removing the final lot of wiring pins from the connectors so that we can begin installing our heat shrink. Now you can see me installing the wires into the heat shrink tube, which, as I find out later, is a very big pain in the ass to do with terminals still attached to the wiring. I am just taping the wiring loom so that when I slide the DR25 heat shrink over the loom, it stays together and holds tight. Now, normally you would redo the whole harness with all new wiring, so this yellow tape is what's used to help hold the wiring together and keep its form throughout the procedure.
Alright, so now we have done all of our loom and we have got our connectors. I ordered them in and we have them here now. So all that's left to do is go ahead and put our terminals onto the loom and then put our connectors back in. So let's get stuck into it. Now, what we have here are our wires to crimp our terminals. See the little numbers here which tell you what size crimp it is. Then we have our terminals here, and when you put this in there, that has a little M shape on the bottom, and that folds both of the parts of the terminal here. It folds them over and squishes it into the wire so it doesn't come off. So let's go and put all these along our injector wiring, and then we'll get our connectors fitted. Alright, so I did try a different brand connector for the injector harnesses, but they just pulled straight off. I wasn't too happy with them, and then the center of the terminal was really weak. So I went and ordered a set of genuine connectors from factory, which is what they come on the car. So I'll wait for those to get in and then put those on later on, but we'll continue on with the video and get all the rest of the connectors fitted to this harness. I do have some other new connectors that get fitted as well, so let's go and start fitting everything else back on apart from the injector connectors.
Now I'm just putting on a new earth terminal, so we crimp that on and slide some heat shrink over the end of it so then it looks nice and neat. Now I'm going ahead and stripping the end of the wire so we can put on our terminals and then secure it to our new connector that we already ordered previously. Now these terminals can be quite a pain, so if you don't have the right tools, I'd suggest getting the right tool or getting someone to do it for you that knows how to do these. But once that's done, we can go ahead and fit our terminals into our new connector and it's all good to go.
Finally, after what seems like forever, the harness is now complete. We got all of our connectors all back on, all of these ones all back together, the new plugs all on. Now we don't have any connectors on the injector side yet because I did order some OEM ones, because the ones I did order, I didn't quite like the quality of them, and the OEM's a lot better. So we'll wait for those to come in and then we can get those fitted. Other than that, how good does that harness look? It looks so much better than the PPF. Expandable heat shielding I had on it before, so this looks so much better. It's definitely worth doing. Now there is something else for me to do. This car does have an aftermarket ECU. Before I bought this car, the ECU was just sitting, rattling around inside my glove box. It's not what you want, especially with an expensive ECU. What we're gonna try and do, hopefully, is this bracket here. I want to try and mock up a plate as such out of some stainless, and then we can hopefully try and fit the ECU in behind here. This is the ECU here. Unfortunately, it is an older ECU, a Heltec Platinum, but it's still a good quality ECU nonetheless. The only bad thing about this is we then have to go and run a secondary expander to plug in different things like MAFLess and those other sort of things. You can use an expander, but that just means we've got another thing we're gonna have to mount. So hopefully we can try and make something to get this fitted up nicely and out of the way and not rattling around dangling inside like it was previously. Unfortunately, that is all we have time for today. Hopefully you liked the video. I know it was a bit long, but I just wanted to try and get all of the harness making into the video. Hopefully you like it. Join me on the next one. We should be doing my engine next. Now, as you can see, there's quite a mess on the bench here. My gearbox, I'm still waiting for bolts. The place where I was getting them zinc plated, they had a fire, so just waiting on those to come back, and then once they're back, we can hurry up and get all of this back into the engine bay. As usual, stay safe, also drive safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.